to this day, I don't even know what I've achieved. I look back at, successes and stuff, and I'm very proud of that and all that, but I still face the same anxieties. I still face the making a good painting, and the artists that follow the markets are generally the artists that tend to suffer the most. So, just a word to the wise people, and I tell a lot of artists this: be very careful about commercialism, because commercialism can take you over. Security is a powerful force, but it can also rob you of some exploration that you really need to do and pursue.
Did you consciously go, I want to try a field painting, or did it really just kind of evolve?
No, it just evolved. It evolved from the people that were working in the fields to seeing them diminish in size and taking on the abstract qualities of those fields.
And so when did those start? When did the field paintings start? What year would have that been?
They would have been probably probably early 90s.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
91, 92, sometime around there. So, and I'm still doing it.
Oh yeah, I know. In fact, we need a couple.
Okay.
I always like them. I mean, they're my favorite. You would think it would be the desert imagery that would be my favorite, and I do love it, but there's something about those field paintings that
I know. Okay, well, you'll get some then.
Yeah, I do love
I just finished a new piece. I'll show it to you.
Okay.
I'm gonna walk you over there just a minute.
All right. So for those again who are not watching this on YouTube, I'll try to describe it. We're looking at his studio, which is packed with paintings, but very clean. And I can see out the window that looks like snow, which is not fun.
Well, actually, can you see the painting?
I can. Yeah, you've got the big bales of hay. Yeah, go move to your right just a little bit if you would. There you go. Perfect. So it's it's this long. It's a cut hay in bales with, in the background is some kind of a imagery, a very small imagery of a darker color. So
yeah.
And if you literally look at that painting, I see, there's a Rothko there, right? You've got three sections of color.
Yep. There you go. Yeah.
Yep, I get it. I see it.
Okay, let me show you another one.
Oh yeah. So this is a larger painting that's 3/4 foreground is landscape, and 1/4.
It's 48 by 48.
Yeah, that's
this is the very first field painting I did.
Ah, interesting.
And I've kept that one.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So
yeah. Now we'll have to have.
Well, anyway, I'm just giving you a little bit of a,
because we've lost your image, so your battery's going down low. So we'll have put that back in.
Just a second.
So I'll just keep talking. One of the questions I'm going to ask you, and one of the things I am interested in, we haven't actually got the answer to yet, is when Ray Johnson comes and finds you in Utah, what was it that made him go there to find you? What was it? How did he know to do what he did? I mean, that's a big step.
He was in Salt Lake City.
He was there.
He was in Salt Lake City. Have you got me?
Yeah, I do.
Can you see me?
Yep, I see you.
Okay. He had been in Salt Lake. He had commissioned William Whitaker, and you probably knew Whitaker's work, I suppose, didn't you? Bill Whitaker.
Oh yeah.
He had commissioned Whitaker to do some portraits, and he had gone to some galleries. He went to Dave Erickson Gallery in Salt Lake, and he saw a number of my paintings there.
I see.
So he called me and said, "Can we come down and talk?" And he bought 8 paintings from me and said, "Would you be interested in being represented in Scottsdale?" And that's how that happened.
I see. So he saw something in those paintings right away that really resonated.
Yeah.
And then so that relationship lasts for a very long time, right?
30 years.
How many?
30 years. Yeah. About 30 years. Yeah.
And so what's the good and the bad of having a relationship like that for so many years?
The good part was it stabilized my life, because I had a constant, continuous income every month. He made that happen. And and he did a lot of advertising. I mean, he promoted me. I mean, Ray got my name out there after 30 years. I mean, he
Yeah.
was doing major promotion. He did wonderful catalogs. He did just about everything you could do to promote an artist, you know. And having one-man shows, a lot of solo shows, and I was involved in other shows too. And you know, at that time, even though I wasn't working directly with you, you know, with the Medicine Man, you were able to come up and pick out paintings in the back room and take them down
Right.
and show them in your gallery. And you wound up selling some of my best stuff.
Yeah.
Although you said, geez, it'd be nice to work with you. Maybe I can get your very best stuff now.
True.
So
when I would go back there and try to get material out of Overland, sometimes, you know, the pieces that I wanted, the pieces I saw that I could sell were not unavailable.
Yeah. Well, you know, there was one that you just got back. It was called Sabrina and Tony.
Yes, yes.
You just got that painting back.
I did.
That was one of my best pieces.
I agree. Yeah, no, that's a fantastic piece.
And that's a real person. That she was a half Native American gal that lived up in Eastern Oregon, Baker City, Oregon. And she broke horses in the summertime and taught grade school in the wintertime. And tough as nails, and it was only 5 foot tall.
Yeah, that's a beautiful painting. And why did you choose that subject matter? Because it is a little different for your subject.
Yeah, it was a little different. Well, number one, this was a woman. And when I started doing my research, I decided I did a whole series of working women, Western working women. And I don't know if you know anything about that, but Ray Johnson donated a number of those paintings to a Western women's art museum. I think it's in Texas somewhere, but I'm not sure. But they do have the collection of those paintings. And when I met her, I didn't know I was going to do that. But all of a sudden, I realized that men weren't working the farm anymore. It was the women working the farms now. Men were in town making a living. Women were out working in the fields and running the cattle and doing the farming. Yeah. So I thought this is a great kind of a commemoration. So that's how that came about.
Yeah, the reason is you can't make a living just with one person working the ranch. You know? It's ranching and farming has become so difficult for and that it takes more energy than one person can do, quite frankly. And you have to supplement your income with other jobs, which is really bad if you're a rancher and you don't want to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that. And so we didn't answer the one question though. So that was the good part. He supported you. He did one-man shows. He did a lot of publicity. He helped you, I think, probably get your book out there with Don Hatton that wrote your book, which is a wonderful book. But was there negatives by being so associated with just a single entity gallery?
Yes. There was a little bit of a price to pay for that too, because Ray and I were so intertwined that I was almost a little bit untouchable, and he wanted me to be a bit untouchable. He wanted to be the person, of course, promoting me to get the rewards from it, you know. So whenever, and it wasn't that we didn't work with other people too. It's just that I wasn't represented in any great way by other galleries, and I think that probably in the long run probably hurt me, especially after we had parted and and Overland had gone out of business and so forth. Looking back today, Ed told me one time, he said, "Gary, you need to get out of this." And I said, "Well, yes, you're probably right." Not that he was being negative about Ray or anything. He was saying, you need to be your own man. You need to go your own direction here. And he was right. And I realized it, but you know, you can get trapped. Money can trap you.
Absolutely.
You know, you bet. And so the security of all of that meant giving all of that up, which happened. And we were all ready for it when it happened. We were ready to go. And we parted good company and all of that. And he moved on in really trying to promote his Russian art, and ran into hard times with that because of just the times and period. Uh, that Russian art has taken a life of its own, so to speak, and Russia had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, they can control it too. They can
Yeah,
control a lot of things.
yeah,
Well, I think by finally branching out where you can actually show with other galleries has actually helped you a great deal, because now
oh
you
yeah,
not only exposure with my gallery, but in, Jackson Hole and different places that by good gallerists that you can't get just by one gallery. And I think for artists listening to this, take heed to what you say, because, it may seem great to be associated with a single gallery and they do everything, but at the same time, you get stuck in a position and it can be
yeah,
hard to get out of. And in the long run, it may actually hurt your career if
yeah.
it's that one. I actually believe that a great deal, and I've seen it happen with other artists, and I see artists sometimes do this, and they don't. I don't think they realize it seems great. You're getting lots of exposure from a single unit, but you never get that broader exposure.
Yeah.
And all the other artists that a gallery only has a certain range of artists, right? There's a view of
Hmm.
artists that we have. It could be big. I have a lot, but it's not all the clients that are out there. There's lots of clients that are out there.
Yeah, yeah,
And,
yeah.
what would
No, it's absolutely true. I mean, the broader exposure, the better. There's just no question about that. So and I'm kind of moving into the twilight of my career. I mean, they'll find me at a skeleton at the easel, whenever that happens. And I'm still producing as much as I've ever produced.
Yeah.
I still put the long hours in. I'm still maintaining my health, and things are going well, from that standpoint. So
Yeah. How many hours do you put in a day?
um, at least 8,
Wow.
and oftentimes more.
Wow.
My wife won't let me work Saturdays and Sundays generally. Oh, I pick around a little bit,
Yeah.
but by concentrate my time pretty much during the week. And the one of the benefits that's happened to us because of being locked away, this she's become much more involved in what I do, and she really has taken notice of what it takes for me to produce something, and and see what has to see the money come in at the right time is always a difficult thing. But you get a certain feel as to how far in advance you have to work on things to make that happen, and you can never actually ever really anticipate it. But if you get enough out there and you can maintain the quality of your work, and you get enough people looking at it, and you get enough markets, uh, you can make it happen. You
Yeah.
have
Well,
your lean times, and you have your big times.
right. Where would you put your times right now? What would you say? Where do you fall right at this moment?
I mean, as far as lean, and
Yeah.
is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Uh, well, I'll have to tell you, it's been the most amazing thing in the last 6 months, is I have had more sales than I've had on any general time, just in a normal market.
Yeah.
And I think it's because people are staying home more. They're surrounding themselves with things they want to be involved, making them feel better about their home, their surroundings, and so forth. And I've never had more commissions. I've never had more sales. And
Yeah. We've
so,
sold quite a few, actually. We've had some really
yeah.
good sales in the
Oh
last
yeah.
few months.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
I don't disagree with you. There is something
yeah.
there that it's really odd. You
Mhm,
wouldn't think it would be, but
mhm. One thing maybe I can say that I've noticed, and you probably know this too, that artists that tend to make it, and it's a lifetime pursuit. It really is. If you're going to make it, well, I don't know what that make it means, but if you're going to be successful with what you do,
right.
it takes a long time to achieve that. To this day, I don't even know. I really don't know what I've achieved. I look back at successes and stuff, and I'm very proud of that and all that. But I still face the same anxieties. No, I still face the making a good painting, and the artists that follow the markets are generally the artists that tend to suffer the most.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll tell you, and the reason being is because unless you can create your own imagery and your own voice and your own techniques and subject matter and unique voice, that's what you can build on. That's what the world looks at in the end, as whether you were successful in what you had to say with your work. So, just a word to the wise people, and I tell a lot of artists this: be very careful about commercialism, because commercialism can take you over. Security is a powerful force, but it can also rob you of some exploration that you really need to do and pursue.
Yeah. Well, and you've done, I would say, at least three different distinct styles from
Or
your,
more.
yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. But three very distinctive styles, and painting wise, as far as you have your field paintings, you have your landscape paintings, you have your figures, lone kind of figures with faceless figures, you know,
Hmm.
and then of course you're working on different things now too, as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how kind of
Well,
I see it, but maybe you can tell me how you see it.
no, you're absolutely right. And the even though there's several different things going on here, they're all mine, and people
Yeah,
know them
no,
when they
you can
see
see
them.
the thread. The thread is
Yeah,
there in all of them.
yeah, yeah. Well, almost any artist you look at, the history of it. You look at Picasso how he started. How did he start? Very
Yeah,
academic.
yes, he
How
did.
did Mondrian start? Very tight, very, and then move into his Fauve period and his expressionist period. All those guys. He moved into what we call Mondrian today. What he was known for was his big square colored squares.
Right.
Joseph Albers, you've seen his early work. Paul Klee, have you seen his early work?
Yep.
All of these guys started it very, very academically, and that's one thing I can say, that I did really put the time in early to perfect the craft and to be able to draw and draw well. Because drawing really only is a matter of being able to see and see well. There
And
can be art in drawing, and there can be just
practice.
academics.
And lots of practice.
Yeah, lots of practice. And I today carry a sketchbook with me everywhere I go. I've got hundreds of drawings. My sketchbooks are valuable to me because I refer to those much more than I do to photography.
Hmm.
I take photography, I do photography too as a guide or remembrance, but I very seldom, if ever, copy a photograph. I would use a reference maybe out of one photograph and piece it into another one or something like that, perhaps. But my sketchbooks are very valuable to me because of that. And that's old school. A lot of artists today are using computer to
Right.
do that very same thing. A lot of artists are strangling all their creativity out on the computer too, and then copying their computer.
Right.
And I can't say that's wrong. That's what technology has done. It's just that I'm much more of an old school painter guy. I love the craft. I appreciate the craft, and I also appreciate the fact that there's a history to it. There's a history by which you can judge. So much of modern art today you cannot judge because there's no history to it. It's just that expression is much more important than the craft.
Yeah.
And there's great things come out of that too. So it just depends on who you are and what you get excited about.
Well,
Time will tell if it has importance or not.
yeah, that's right. Time is going to tell. Right. You don't know. And
No.
sometimes you don't know for quite a while. I mean, you
Hmm.
have somebody like Dixon who kind of really went out of favor, in probably the 50s, 60s, 70s, even maybe to
Hmm.
some
Hmm.
extent,
Hmm.
before that, genius was rediscovered. And
Well, it took about 50 years. It took just about 50 years for the public to see. There's like three things that are very, very important in an artist's career. One is the skill and the craft, the originality, and the fact and the the subject matter in terms of what the artist chooses to paint, and in as good a possible way he can do it. And let time determine what that is, because the public determines whether you have done anything of a significant nature. Have you said anything in your work about your time? Is there something that says something about the period in which they lived? Is there something about the iconography of the piece that you take somebody like uh, Grant Wood? Grant Wood did American Gothic, one of the most famous paintings in the world.
Right.
Most people don't even know who did it,
Right.
but they know the image.
Right.
He couldn't sell that painting. He wound up, the Chicago Art Institute bought that for $300.
Yep.
And it is so valuable today, they can't even put a price on it.
And he alone really didn't see his heyday probably until just recently. You know,
Yeah.
when Whitney
Yeah.
did their show with him,
Yep.
I think it kind of brought it back
Mhm.
full circle for him, and that was not that
Yeah.
long ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, our job as artists to just produce, do the best job you can, and be as honest about it as you can. And time will take care of that stuff. We can't make that happen. That's just something that happens
And
along the way.
and you don't think about your legacy or where you end up in the art world. I mean, I know granted it's beyond where you'll be and you'll be gone, but do you think of those things?
Well, of course, you know, and I think we all do. I think we all want to do something that's important or significant with the work. And maybe it's nothing more than your grandma loves it. Who knows? I don't know.
Right.
But you want your work to be seen as a larger scale, but that means it has to evolve into iconography again. It has to become iconic to a generation of people that see that it represents something of that period and something of the artist and something of the quality of the work that you're exhibiting. And you know, we can only personally strive for that, and hope take people like you that, you know, get it out there to the public and promote it, and say this guy has promise and ability. And you know, I mean, you got some really great people that you represent. You know,
Yeah.
it's fabulous. You know, you take almost all your landscape painters are great, you know, and you've had some great shows with those guys, and you continue picking up with some of these new guys coming along and doing a fabulous job for them. So, you know, you do your part, we do our part, and
Right.
get it out to the public there in the best way possible.
Yeah, I often think about artists like yourself and how do they, you know, I mean, your price structure is good. You get like a lot of money for your paintings, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, 10 years from now or 30 years or 100 years, it may be incredibly higher and you didn't get to reap any of that reward,
Yeah,
you know.
that's always too bad. Yeah.
Yeah, look at Fritz Shoulders, right? He's had like 3 sales now in the high 150 to 200,000 recently. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
Fritz was well paid, but he never got that kind of reward in his life.
Yeah, yeah. Well, his work will be remembered in that market that you're talking about there. His stuff will be remembered for the uniqueness of the work, the
Yeah.
quality and the uniqueness of that work, and that it said something different, unusual, that is very personal. And you know, that's the best that we can kind of count on. I I'm involved with several other galleries, and some of the galleries are galleries that kind of follow the festivals. In other words, you know, uh, there's a lot of plein air painters out there. A lot of them are kind of doing the same things. It's hard to tell who's who, you know. And we're all, and you can't really criticize these people. They're honest and they're trying to do their best. It's just that some people seem to have a little different insight into it, and that's just kind of a God-given thing, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of that is. I also think it's even maybe more than that in some ways. It's the ability to say, make a decision that I am going to do this as the way I paint. I'm not going to follow trends. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
paint what sells. I'm going to paint what excites me and creates something inside of me that makes me feel more secure of who I am. And I see that in certain artists. Josh Elliott, I think, is a really good example of one of those that,
Josh Elliott is fabulous painter.
yeah,
Yes, Josh is right up there.
yep,
His paintings are so insightful.
yep,
And then you take Glenn Dean and Russell Case, and these guys, these really fabulous painters, and
Yep.
Logan Hajij, those guys are doing great things. You know, they're kind of carrying the ball right now.
They
You know,
are.
they're giving some of the younger guys, you know, some perspective on what you have to do, and you have to perfect your craft, and you have to have a very personal insight into it.
Yeah, I think that's right. And not,
David Mickle coming along. David's
I know.
doing fabulous work. You know.
Isn't he amazing? I know he's an
Yeah.
amazing artist. He, you know, we just had a show for him and we sold 19
Yeah.
20 paintings, you know, by
Mhm.
opening night. I mean, and he's a humble man who is really following, again, he is following his inner voice of what he wants to paint and is not being dictated to do X or
Yep.
Y, you know.
Now that's probably one of the most significant things we've said today for young artists to really pay attention to.
Yep.
Because you can follow trends. You know, you can do some darn good paintings. You can make your paintings look like Ernest Blumenschein if you want to. You know, you can be as sharp. You can be, you know, but they're still derivative, and you know, and you may make a lot of money with them. And the question is, what will it be remembered for? You know, I mean, here again, I don't want to be critical of that, because, you know, people do their thing, and some people decide that's what they want out of life. And I think that's just a matter of we each deciding, you know, what do you want?
Yeah. Well, and I do think for longevity's sake, if you find that voice and you follow it, your longevity, you're 78 years old, you're still creating, you're still making cool things, you're still finding, you know, things that excite you. I
Mhm.
think you lose that if you just stay in a lane that you're just trying to follow trends and, you
Oh
know,
yeah, oh yeah,
so
yeah.
make what,
I have a good friend who is he's a we'd call him a realist painter. I mean, he paints every detail, you know, and he's really good at what he does. But he photographs his image, he puts it on the computer, and he strangles everything out of it he can get. He gets the tonality, he gets everything, and he hates the process of painting it.
how horrible. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not,
but yet you look at his paintings and they're great.
yeah.
They're very well done. But he does not like to paint. And I asked him one time if he wanted to go do a little plein air painting. He said, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Mm, wow. That's amazing. Well, he, I'm sure he's successful. I doubt that individual would ever end up in my gallery. At least I wouldn't expect it to.
Yeah,
So you never know, I guess. But it's hard to
yeah.
imagine that an artist doesn't want to paint.
Mhm. Hey, my wife's knocking on the door, and I have her locked out. Can I run and
Oh, yeah,
let
well,
her in
we're
real
basically
quickly?
finished up. I
Okay,
think we kind of covered everything.
okay.
And so I really appreciate you coming on, Gary. I'm a big
Oh yeah,
fan. I've
my
always been
pleasure.
a fan. You know, I've been a fan when you were not with me, and you know, I've what can I say? You're one of a kind. You're one of the most important. I believe this, and I think it'll be borne out over many decades. But you're one of the most important Western artists of this century. You know, of the
Well,
20th
thank you.
century. I do. I think people.
That's saying a lot from Mark Sublette.
Well, I believe it. I do think that's a real statement. I mean, you know, again, I think we have to just let everything play out as it is. But I mean, you had your own voice, you put in the effort, and you can paint.
Mm. Well, thank you. I'm
All
not
right.
going to quit.
I know you're not. We don't want you to quit. I like getting the new word. So, you know, go let your wife in because I do have one other question. I want to talk about the
Okay,
main.
real quickly. I'll
Yeah.
be right back.
So, one of the questions I want to ask Gary, it has to do with him
I have my earphones in, so I'm still hearing you.
doing a Maynard Dixon sculpture because he's known as a painter, but he's also done an amazing Maynard Dixon sculpture. So yeah, I just wanted to ask you, Gary,
Yeah.
you know, you're not known as a sculptor, but yet you did one of the great sculptures of Maynard Dixon. How did that happen? How did that come about? Because that really
Oh,
is.
that was fabulous. You know, the way that came about on the Scottsdale Street, there was.
We lost your picture again. Maybe your thing needs to be plugged in. There you go. You go.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Fine.
On Main Street, the city challenged the galleries to put sculpture up on Main Street.
Yes.
And I was having a conversation with John Dixon, who you know well, was Maynard's son. He came in the gallery. And I said, I've really been thinking about doing a sculpture of Maynard, and could I talk to you and maybe use your family's resource? He says, absolutely. And so that's how that came about. And I did the small ones first, the studies, of course.
Right.
And then the large one was a result of that.
Yes.
So.
And the large one, which was out of Overland Gallery for a very long time, is now in front of the Scottsdale Museum of the West, right? Is that a permanent
Right.
thing? That's permanent.
I understand it is, yes. Now they moved it from, it was over in the, I think the south end of the building there for a while, but they moved it over there in the front. And I think it was just basically for that show that, you know, you mounted there for Maynard.
Yeah, we wanted to put it in. I actually wanted to put it in the gallery. I wanted it to be like the first, but it was too, I think technically it was difficult, but that's really,
yeah.
I wanted it to hit you as you came
And,
in. You saw
I'm assuming it's on the street there, but I don't even know that now. They
Yeah,
may have moved it back. So
no, I think it's probably there. I haven't been, you know, because of the pandemic, I haven't been up to Scottsdale since March. But that show, for those who are watching this, is it's Maynard Dixon's America West. It's a retrospective of Dixon's work.
Fabulous.
It's open through August. That show
is it? Oh, that's fabulous show, man. You did a real job on that.
Yeah,
you got significant pieces in there.
Yeah, that's again, Tricia Loescher definitely has to get the lion's share of the awards for that too, because she really worked hard to get those paintings.
Yeah, well, but right.
Mike Fox put the money, you know, where it needed to be. To, you know, wouldn't have been able to get the BYU paintings without Mike committing to what it took to get them, and they are important to be part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was good. I don't know if there'll ever be a show mounted like that again. Maybe someday, but
yeah, the answer is I don't know, but I hope so. Yeah, it was a lot of effort. It took us about 3 years. So.
Well, actually, what's amazing too is every once in a while you find a Dixon creep out somewhere again.
Yep.
I don't know why that keeps doing that.
That's all right. We're almost done, but there he is again. Some video ones are more challenging than others.
Yeah.
But yes, Maynard Dixon paintings still do come out. I see them on a fairly irregular basis, but you know, I see something Dixon related almost monthly, quite frankly. Yeah, maybe just a little drawing, something, you know.
Yeah.
I bought something yesterday that's for the museum, our museum here. That was just a little flyer that he did around Christmas time that I'd never, you know, and it was, I think Sunset Magazine may have done it.
I have he had a show at the Biltmore, I think it was. And was that in LA, the Biltmore?
Well, I did a show with John Dixon at the Biltmore Hotel over.
Well, no, this was when Maynard, because it's the actual
Biltmore. That was LA.
Okay, that was in LA. I have the card and it says to Pop Loomis on it.
Oh, that's an issue. That's nice. Yeah, that's nice. Well, you know, it's pre-1928 because Loomis died in 28. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, he called him Pop.
Yeah.
Or father, you know, and Loomis called him Kid. So it was definitely a relationship. It was a father.
Yeah, it was signed by he and Loomis, or well, it was two Loomis, of course, signed by him.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's an important thing, right? That's an important piece of history that shouldn't be lost ever. So
yeah.
For the next person who wants to delve deeper into Maynard Dixon, and I hope there are some people out there that do want to do that, because I think.
Well, you know, in fact, what you're saying right here, right now, is the importance of art, and is one of the great importances of art in our life, is that we have history to look back on, important things that piece together, well, the history of art, but also the history of a person's life, the history of the importance of what he contributed, and I think that's why you see art in auctions, work going for in the millions and millions of dollars, is because it has such artistic, but also an emotional connection to people, that there really isn't anything else that's created by mankind that arrives at the same level of value over a long period of time.
Definitely not monetarily value. I would say literature would also fall into that same kind of.
Yeah, well, the arts, yeah. The literature and music too. Yeah.
But there's no doubt it connects you to a time, a place, and the more involved you are in the arts, the more you really look at arts, then it puts you in certain categories too. I remember this when I was a kid. I remember this and this and this. Unfortunately, in our society as a whole, we don't appreciate the arts like we should. Art funding's being, canceled out, and elementary and middle school is really, because there's a whole group of artists just like yourself who, knew they should be artists. They knew they should be in that field right away. But if you don't nurture that, if you don't have that nun working with you, during the paint, just strictly up to you or your parents, you're probably going to lose a lot of great artists that should have been artists and maybe do nothing with their life. Literally don't do anything of significance that they could have, because they don't get that early training. So I'm a big proponent of, let's fund the arts especially for grade school.
Absolutely.
So, all right. On that fun note, we got to see your wife a couple times go by in the back too. So let her know she's in the video. All right. Well, thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Look forward to getting some
You
new.
bet.
I know you're working on some stuff for us, so
I am.
Yep. Maybe this will come out about the time your new art comes. So there you go.
In fact, I'm going to send you. Do you remember my paintings, the solitary, the ones of the little boys and stuff like that?
Yeah,
you remember any of those? I've got a fabulous one for you.
Oh, good. I love those.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is coming to you. So.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. And I've never had either. So that was fantastic. Great.
Okay.
All right. I'm still excited about art, Gary.
Oh yeah.
Clearly
good.
you are too. If you're working 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you clearly still love it as well.
Okay. Well, keep selling, keep writing, and keep photographing.
I'll do all that stuff. I will.
Okay, Mark.
Podcasting. And
podcasting. Yes, these will be great. These are historic.
Yeah, I think they are. That's one of the reasons I want to do them, is I think they need to be out there for the historians. When they go and start doing research on you, which somebody will in the future, they'll use this as a reference. I know that my podcasts have already been used in two different, one in a dissertation and one in a book that's coming out, as references. So it's a nice way somebody can get a sense of the artist and understand them.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe this will be what I'm remembered about more than anything. I don't know.
Well, who knows?
I do the work just like you, right? Do the work.
Well, you have to remember that you were the guy that opened the doors. You opened the doors. So.
Well, it was, this is, I'm definitely not the first, and there's a lot that have done a lot more.
Oh, no. But I mean, we've talked about stuff I've never talked about with any interviews.
Yeah.
Before.
Yeah, that's important.
So that's nice stuff to have kind of come out. So.
Yeah, that's really important. Well, that's what I'm trying to get. I'm trying to get the essence of who you are and what you are, and how you got to be who you are at this time. And the only way you can do that, I think, is to sit around and listen to your story, and then trying to probe a little bit to find out some of the things and how you see the world and how you see your place in it.
Yeah. Well, you did it.
I probed.
for good or for bad.
No, it's there. Every one of them is good in my opinion. All
okay.
Right.
Well, one day I'll drop in and see you down there again.
All right. Just bring your mask.
Well, hopefully it'll be over by that, but Ed and I'll probably take a trip plein air painting down there one of these days. So again,
that would be fantastic. I hope you do. Yeah. Within the next.
Yeah.
Great. All right.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much. All right. Bye-bye. We need your support for the Medicine Man Gallery channel, so make sure to click the subscribe button and tap the little bell icon to be notified when we upload a new video, which we do every morning on Wednesday and Friday. See you soon.